What does it take to build not one, but two award winning tech products while reshaping industries and championing innovation? Imagine balancing strategic leadership, product vision, and global growth, all while empowering communities. Today, we are joined by a trailblazer whose work has revolutionized food nutrition analysis and field inspection technologies. Her journey spans decades in tech leadership, countless accolades, including Nutrition Business Leader of the Year, and a mission to drive meaningful change across industries. Let's give a warm welcome to the incredible Sonia Couto, the powerhouse behind MenuSano and Field Eagle. Welcome, Sonia.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Great. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here.
Great stuff. Do you have a favorite quote, something that inspires or motivates you would like to share with our audience?
I do. One of my favorite quotes that I actually have like on my door before I leave the house every day is be gentle to yourself. You're doing the best you can.
Be gentle to yourself. You're doing your best you can. Oh, that's
Yeah.
quite deep, isn't it?
I have to
Yeah.
constantly remind myself of that
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
because
Great
I
stuff.
think I'm like, no one is harder on me than I am on myself. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Cool. Sorry, I'm eager to learn more about you. Can you take us back to your roots and share with our listeners about your upbringing, your childhood? How did your early experiences shape your journey and eventually led you to become the visionary entrepreneur today? And specifically, were there any key influences from your family or surroundings,
Mm.
friends that played a significant role in shaping up your entrepreneur spirit?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to share. So, I was actually born in Portugal, a little
Mm-hmm.
tiny island off of Portugal, and I moved to Canada when I was 10 years old. I'm the middle child of five kids. So, I have two older siblings and two younger.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up in a chaotic household with kids running around, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, took care of us. My dad worked all day long, and I think part of who I am today and what's really shaped me to be, I call myself really tenacious in everything that I do, is part of being a middle child. Um, I felt like growing up, I sort of had to fight my way through everything because I had two older siblings and two younger. I do fit right in the middle. I have a really good relationship with my older siblings, but I also have a really good relationship with my younger. But, I grew up in an environment of hand me downs and making the best of everything I was given. And I think that's sort of what shaped me to a lot of who I am in my life. Entrepreneurship is something that I think has just always been in me. I've always wanted to try new things. Even in school, I always liked the business classes. I always liked the classes that they gave you a project to go off and start a little company and get the school involved and as a project. So I was always really curious about that sort of thing. And early on in my 20s, I always had a full-time job, but sort of like a little side hustle. It's always what I've loved. And I
Mm-hmm.
love the idea of building something and growing it. But my what I'm really good at and what I've done with MenuSano and Field Eagle is actually I was part of an initial founders team, and that team eventually left. As startups don't always work out right in the beginning, and
Yeah.
in the early stages, it was the growing pains, it was the launching, and not everything worked out the way we wanted. And that original founding team sort of left the company, and I was left by myself with these products, which
Mm-hmm.
was really the right place for me because now I felt like I was being handed down these products that had had all these chefs in the kitchen and all this input, and now I'm left alone with it as a hand me down to figure out what I was going to do with it. And I think that's what I'm really good at. It's not necessarily starting something from scratch. Yeah, I can do that, but what I'm really good at is taking something that maybe hasn't succeeded and rebuilding it and restructuring it to make it succeed.
So let's talk about where the story begins. You mentioned that you became a part of the startup, and then potentially that didn't work out well, and then you were left by yourself. I'm guessing that they sold their equities to you or some kind of arrangement there.
Mhm.
Um, what I'm interested in is why did you guys choose to build this product? And let's second part of the question would be
Yeah.
around what what does the product do? Who is it for? And what's the main problem you guys are trying to solve?
Yeah, so for MenuSano, really the idea came about. Uh, I was working at a software development company, and one day we were just working late, and we ordered food, and this is back in like 2012,
Hmm.
and so we had ordered food, and we were wondering. We were all sitting around talking, and we had a new dad, and people who were health conscious. And I remember the new dad sort of mentioned, "Oh, I wish like when I go out and eat out with my kids and stuff, I wish I could." Know what I'm eating, because when you go to a grocery store and you buy a packaged product, you get like a label with it, and you know what you're getting just based on the nutrition label. And at
Hmm.
the time that wasn't available at restaurants. And so we were all sitting around the table, and we all started having this deep conversation about, the need for nutrition, the global pandemic of diabetes, and how it's not curable but can be managed through diet. So we went down a dark rabbit hole of nutrition and what we had access to as consumers and what we didn't. And since we were already in the technology field, we thought, oh, well, let's look around and see what's out there. And if there isn't out there, if there is nothing out there, can we build something? And so
Hmm.
we discovered that in fact, there wasn't anything out there, especially in Canada where we live. And so we started doing some research, and we realized that there was a market for this, and that there was a need for it. Specifically, we serve, so MenuSano is a nutrition analysis software that does the composition of recipes and provides compliant nutrition labels for Canada, the US, and the UK. For now, we are expanding to other countries. And essentially all it does is for food manufacturers who need labels to put on their packaging. That's what we do. We provide them the compliant labels. And for
Hmm.
restaurants who need to show calories on the menus, uh, we provide them an option to create those recipes and do that. The problem is that when we launched our product, we were a little bit ahead of our time. There was really nobody doing this. And
Hmm.
so when we got really excited about the idea of building this, and we thought, oh, we're going to change like a whole industry. Right now, the only way to do this is to send food to a lab. It was super expensive. We're like, not only are we going to like help consumers get information, but we're going to help food manufacturers and industry get access to a tool that's going to be really cheap for them, and it's going to encourage them to do it. Well,
Hmm.
when we launched, nobody wanted our tool.
Hmm.
Restaurants were scared that if people went to eat there and knew what they were eating, they would not come back and eat there. So we didn't really we didn't execute properly. We got really excited about the technology because we were techies, but we didn't
Hmm.
do our proper market research. We didn't have a proper sales channel. We didn't do our due diligence. And so
Hmm.
in that process, in that frustration, the original founding team slowly left. And I should say that Menusano is we were part of a software development company, which I'm the managing director at now. So I still manage the software development company, and that
Hmm.
software development company is the investor for Menusano.
Got it.
And so, um, after I lost the team, I had to sort of make a decision about how I was going to go about it. Am I going to shelf this product and stop putting money into it? Or am I going to figure out a way to launch it properly? So I actually decided to shelf it for the
Hmm.
time being, so that I could really figure out how to, if I was going to relaunch it, and how I was going to go about that. It just so
Hmm.
happens that at the time, around 2014, the government of Canada was talking about diabetes being a global pandemic, and how the health bill in Canada had been over budget by billions of dollars, and a lot of it was due to diabetes. And
Hmm.
so we knew that public health was trying to put together a program to see if they could encourage restaurants to start showing consumers calorie information because that was already available in the US. So
Mhm.
we reached out and we started working with Toronto and Ottawa Public Health on a program called the Diner Savvy program, which we
Mhm.
were part of for a year in Ontario. And MenuSano was the tool that was used during that year pilot project with public health. And we got to really test out the tool with dietitians, with restaurant owners, and really get the feedback that we needed to make the tool even better. At the end of
What was
that
the
program, mhm,
So sorry to stop you in the middle. What was the
yeah.
regulation which Canadian government put together, and what was the year?
Yeah, so that was in 2015. And
Mhm.
the program is that any restaurant that has 20 plus locations in Ontario has to
Mhm.
provide calorie information on their menus.
Got it. Got it. That was perfect for you guys, right?
Well, yeah, because now when we launched originally, we didn't have a market. And now we basically worked with public health to create a market for our product, which was really
Yeah.
good. And so now restaurants had a need for our tool. And so we launched. I mean, during the pandemic, restaurants shut down, and
Mhm.
so we were like, oh, now what's going to happen? We're going to lose all our business. And actually, what ended up happening is during COVID, we actually pivoted because our phones started ringing during that time. Restaurants were shutting down. They were putting a pause on their subscription. They didn't really need the service at the time. But then we started getting all these calls from food manufacturers wanting our tool. We had a competitor in the US that was extremely expensive. And so we had to alter the tool to cater to food manufacturers because we had really built it for restaurants. So during
Mhm.
COVID, we not only pivoted, we also grew our business to a completely new market. Now
Mhm.
we are more dominant in the US. 80% of our business comes from large food manufacturers and restaurant chains, but
Mhm.
we also cater to a lot of healthy conscious industries like vegan restaurants and restaurants that want to do their diligence and get ahead of the curve because legislation is going to change and eventually everyone's going to have to show this
Do it.
information. Also,
Yeah.
there's been a consumer change since 2010. Consumers are now a lot more health conscious. They're trying to eat healthier. People with diabetes realize that it's not just about calories, it's about carbohydrates, and they want access to that kind of information as well. So the way
Mm.
people choose the type of food that they're eating at a restaurant, at takeout, or when they're buying it, they're really looking at not just calories, they're looking at carbohydrates, they're looking at the ingredients. Am I eating something that's toxic for my body? Is there red dye and all those things? Because there's so much education around food now, especially with social media. So
Yeah.
we're trying to encourage food service to get all of that information from our tool so that they can provide it as an option if they want. But if they just need to meet legislation, we're there to help support them through that.
Definitely. Definitely. And your journey is a tech span for a decade or so, right? You mentioned that. um, and then you became the part of the startup. What was the inspiration behind it? Like you entered this field, and how has your perspective evolved over time? Like I'm also techie. I have invested in like coffee shops and things like that, but that's purely for like profit making practices, right?
Yeah.
But it seems to me like you entered this vertical for some other reason. What was the motivation behind it?
Okay, so first, I've been in tech for many years, but my background is accounting and operations management. So
Mhm.
my mind sort of works around, how can you make something work? How can you innovate it where it's self sufficient and takes a cost into account. So when I started in tech, that was sort of my role.
Mhm.
But then I got into it and I realized, like, in manufacturing, you're building something to sell. In technology, you're solving a problem. And
Yeah.
I really like the idea of solving problems, but then I really like the idea of building things that were disruptive. So building things that changes the way an industry works. Like going into um, an industry that has always done something a specific way, and now introducing a new way of doing it with technology to help people do their jobs better. I just really, something about that just really, I really loved. And then
Mhm.
when it comes to health, like I'm also a breast cancer survivor, so I'm health conscious. I care about what I put in my body, what I'm eating, and I want to be able to live a couple more years of my life. And I came to a point during my breast cancer journey where I lost control of my body, and I had to sort of give it away to doctors to treat. But at the same time, when you lose control of your body, the one thing that you want is control. And the only thing that I could do to have any control over it was focus on what I was putting in my body. And so
Mhm.
I became ultra sensitive to what I was eating, what I put in my body. And that sort of gave me even more inspiration to make MenuSano work and really take it out to market. And,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, we want to be able to help food service industries, but I really want consumers to have access to information because I'm a consumer, so that
Mhm.
we can make good decisions and, you know, take control of our own health and avoid getting things like cancer and high cholesterol and blood pressure and things like that. I think that a lot of diseases out there are for a lack of knowledge on the consumer part, and I think there's a
Yep.
lot that we can do to control our own health. And so Menusano really has like a couple of different inspirations for me. It's on the tech side, it's on the health side, it's on the personal side. So when I combine that all together, it's my baby, and I'm really passionate about it, and
Mhm.
I just want everyone to have access to it and use it and get all the information that they need.
Got it. Got it. And I can see that, like, you want to enable, or you want to give this superpower to the end users, that if they understand what they're eating, what they're putting into their body, they not just have more control, but also shaping their, like, physical future, if I may,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that is a very noble reason to because you see, you're absolutely right. I mean, I go to restaurant for taste. If I'm going there, I'm having a good food, couple of beers, I'll be like satisfied, 5 star, come back. The moment I have like this feeling of, oh my god, I'm putting too much belly fat, like every Christmas I do. Every
Yeah.
Christmas I do 6, 7 kgs. But that's just one small part of it. I'm growing old also. Now I have to focus on cholesterol. Like, am
Yeah.
I get more or not? And then my family has some, issues with blood pressure. So now I have to take care of that part also. So many things I have to look for. But imagine if I go to any restaurant in Europe, and then before eating, or in the menu, or some way digitally, I can see that this is the dish which I'm eating, which is actually giving me sort of like a lot of cholesterol. I mean, like, I don't know
Yeah.
how to explain it, but you know
Yeah,
what I
for
mean.
sure. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
you could be like, "Wow, the sodium on this thing is outrageous. I can't eat this." But the whole point is, restaurants don't have to offer a super healthy menu for all their consumers. But
Mhm.
you should, as a consumer, you should be able to go to a restaurant and say, "You know what? I'm not going to have the chicken wings, but you know what? They offer like a really good bowl with salmon and a salad, and the salad dressing is not higher in calories than a hamburger." You know what I mean? Like, what we're trying to say to food service and restaurants is offer some healthy choices to your consumers so that they can make the decision, hey, today I'm going to eat healthy, and there's an
Mhm.
option there for me. But also to the restaurants, it's a business opportunity. If you're
Mhm.
a chicken wing place and your chicken wings are not healthy, but now you
Mhm.
offer, 5 items on your menu that are sort of healthy. If a
Mhm.
husband and wife, for example, are going out to eat and the husband has high cholesterol and the wife doesn't, and he's a little bit more health conscious than she is, they can go to that chicken wing place. She can have 20 chicken wings, deep fried chicken wings with, a beer or whatever she wants. And
Yeah.
he can be like, you know what? We can both go to that restaurant because there is something there that I can eat for my need, for my situation, right?
Peace of
And
mind, right?
that's the
Yeah.
point, right? You're going to get peace of mind. She's going to get to eat what she wants, and the restaurant gets both of your business
Yeah. And that's the win-win situation which
for
everything
everybody.
wants. Yeah, right. That's
Yeah.
really good. Great stuff. So would you be able to give us a sense of the size of the business, where you are in terms of revenue, number of customers, size of the team? You don't necessarily have to share any numbers,
Yeah.
just for our listeners, like, to
Yeah.
give an idea.
Well, we've grown the platform to over 250 users
Hmm.
since 2020, and we're obviously it's not the end of the year yet, so we're projecting to be a little over 300 next year.
Hmm.
We expect to be over 1,000 users on the platform, so we
Hmm.
have grown dramatically since we relaunched in 2010 and went into a whole new industry. And
Hmm.
our goal now is really we did launch into the UK. The UK recently changed their compliance on the way the labels actually look, and so we're now actually building out the new labels for the UK. But we are going to be expanding to Australia in 2025 and
Hmm.
Mexico, bringing in those databases. So we work with government source databases. So all of our ingredients are government sourced. They've been tested in a lab, and we work with each country to make sure we're following all the rounding rules for recipes and the way the food is processed and things like that. And then we also work with each public health department to make sure that we're providing compliant labels. So every label in every country is different. We stay up with legislation on each label. We work on the for the US. Obviously, the US is really large. We work with the FDA compliance and the USCDA and the USDA databases. So
Hmm.
we're projecting to grow double by next year by expanding to new markets. So the product has really already expanded. We're all over the world. Our biggest
Hmm.
market is obviously US, Canada, but we have clients in Europe. We recently got a couple clients in Egypt, Thailand, Dubai. So we're really expanding the market, and we've also started building some partnerships with third party applications that for like food delivery applications and health conscious on the applications that focus specifically on consumers. So we're now having these third party partnerships to help keep expanding the product into other countries.
Got it. And that you already touched on it, but this was my next question about, you have already started serving government or public sector customers in different countries. You're trying to get in partnership with private organizations also. So would you be able to share with our listeners what is your pricing point and how did you came up for that? Because a lot of listeners are founders, right? They struggle to price their platforms, and this is the biggest challenge they face, and they would like to listen to successful entrepreneurs like yourself, and
Yeah.
how do you navigate it through this wave of vision,
Yeah.
right?
So I'm laughing as you're asking me that question
Yeah.
because we screwed that up so bad a couple of times
Yeah.
when we first created. So we're a SaaS based application, software as a service, so it's
Yeah.
subscription based. And when we first came up with our pricing, we had no idea what our industry could actually afford. And we realized very quickly that specifically for restaurants, maybe not so much manufacturers, but restaurants have, a 10 to 13% profit margin on what they make when they're selling over apps like Uber and all those. They make even less. So our pricing was way too high. So we lowered our packages, and we're constantly trying to learn from our users. We actually changed our pricing this year, but we
Hmm.
kept our clients in grandfather pricing, who, because since we launched back in two, 2012, we had never changed our pricing. So from 2012 to 2024, our pricing had been the same. We changed it in 2024, kept our clients in grandfather pricing. But in 2024, we really looked at our packaging from before and said, what packages are clients using? Which ones are they not using? So what we did was we offered, before we had a whole bunch of different packages. This time around, we looked at the most popular ones and we actually provided a much cheaper package that starts at $29 per month or $199 per year, and that
Mhm.
provides the smaller startup food
Right.
companies the ability to, they don't have to subscribe for a year. They can subscribe on a month to month basis. And I would say 40% of our clients are on a month to month basis. They'll stop when they don't need the service. They'll come back 3 4 months later, reuse it
Mhm.
again, and get what they need, get out. And then we have other packages that start at about $59 a month. And then we have another one that starts at about $99 a month. And then we have
Mhm.
an enterprise package. The enterprise pricing, it differs. So the enterprise clients come to us. Those are for the larger food manufacturers who have different needs. So we will
Mhm.
alter the pricing based on their needs, what they need, how many users they want, how many recipes are they going to do they need to import data from a different system that was more expensive and bring it over to ours. We offer that service. So the
Mhm.
enterprise is a custom package for different needs, and it starts at whatever price. There is a base, but it fluctuates. But we do have the basic packages that offer some limited access to the system. That's why it's a little bit on the lower price point. But
Mhm.
a lot of our clients don't need the enterprise, which offers everything in the system. They just need one database, one user. They only need to do 5 labels. They don't need to do 200 to 1,000. So we try to make our pricing very flexible, starting at $29 up to 99, and then the enterprise, so that they can say, this package is perfect for me. But I will say to anyone listening and starting a SaaS company, don't have your pricing written out in stone. Be always flexible to learn and look at the data, which packages are more popular, because that's really going to be the factor of whether you're going to be able to sell your product or not. Features are great, solving a problem is even greater, but then the pricing is really what's going to get people to buy into it.
Got it. Got it. Great stuff. I think from here, I would like to move towards some interesting trends in our
Okay.
space. One of the things I wanted to ask you is how are you dealing with the AI trend we have right now, and what are the steps the company is actually taking in order to be in
Yeah.
the.
Look, I will say this. I'm in tech and I love tech. I love AI, but I do think that AI is being used a lot of times as a marketing tool.
Mhm.
And I don't think AI is necessarily required in everything that tech does right now.
Mhm.
The future of MenuSano or even Field Eagle will obviously have some AI components to it. But
Mhm.
AI, for me, AI needs to be around data analysis. What can we use AI to do with all the data that we're gathering, and how can that data help our customers or help public health? Can we take the data to public health over time and say, here are the statistics that we are learning from the food that our uh, customers are creating, and the feedback from our the clients using it, and also use AI to help make our customers jobs easier. So an example right now, clients have to go into MenuSano and create their recipes from scratch by selecting ingredients. So yes, we will eventually, we do have on our roadmap for 2025 a couple of little AI tools to help make our clients jobs easier, gather data and be able to do things with that data. Um, I don't want to use AI as a buzzword to sell our tool. I don't think, we need AI to solve a problem. I think AI will eventually just help our customers make their job easier by allowing AI to do a lot of things that they would normally do in the tool, which will hopefully help reduce their time actually using the tool by 50%. But
Mhm.
I don't think it's a critical component to what we're doing. I think eventually yes, but I don't want to use AI as a buzzword. I want to use AI to solve real problems. And so I'm very careful with it because, if you go to tech events right now, everyone's like AI, and I get that. AI is not going anywhere. It's fantastic. It will eventually change the world, but I think it's still I think it still has a long way to go. And I think companies should be focusing on solving real problems and not just having a buzzword around AI.
Definitely, definitely, and trust me, Sonia, I'm having so much fun with this conversation. But as you know, we are limited with the time, so there are two more sections in our episode right now. So
Yeah.
the first one is to basically go through what we have talked about today. So, being a middle child, you moved to Canada from Portugal, if I'm
Yep.
correct, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And then by the age of 20, you already started doing your side hustles. You've been well known for accounting and operations skills in your space. And then you met your co-founders who wanted to start the startup. But as in startup space, not necessarily everything goes well.
Yep.
But you're left with the product yourself. You dropped it, or not dropped it, but slow it down for a
Shelved
while.
it.
Shelved it. Yeah, that's the correct word. And then by 2012, when Canadian government launched this law, that's where you found out that okay, this might be a right time to like revamp it, restructure it, and represent it with a different message. And then that actually provided you a good opportunity, so you went forward. Currently, you have around 250 customers, and which you are anticipating around to fourfold, approximately 1,000 plus next year. Your primary customer base is in USA and Canada, but you already have customers in UK, Egypt, Thailand, and Dubai. And then your pricing strategy was screwed up initially, but now you have it in control, and that's going pretty well. Is that everything which we covered today? Is there anything which I missed here?
No, you did a great job. That's a really good good layout that you have there.
Oh, perfect, perfect. Got it. Awesome, great. So I think the next section we have is I've got a quick six questions for you. So if you're ready, I can go through those questions, and then you
Sure.
can answer them as quickly as possible. You ready?
Ready.
Great. What's the top three strategies to keep in control for your diet in 2024, 2025?
For my diet, don't focus on the buzz that's out there. Focus on what's good for my body. And the only way to know that is to by trial and error. If white rice is good for me and makes me feel good, then eat white rice. It's really a trial and error. Eat things, try it out, and then I do have like I have a book where I keep everything. It's just about like trying something. If it doesn't make me feel good, don't eat it again. If it makes me bloated, understand that that's what's made me bloated. And it's just like, don't follow a specific diet. Just eat and consume what my body likes.
Got it. What book would you recommend to our audience and why?
Book. Well, one of my favorite books is by Arlene Dickinson. It's called, oh man, I can't think of Persuasion. And
Mhm.
it's just she's a woman in business. She's one of the Dragon's Den in Canada. She's one of the investors in Dragon's Den, and she started her career later out in life, and she's grown her career massively, and there's just so much to learn in that book, and there's like things there that inspired me so much, not only to realize that you don't necessarily have to have a huge level of education to be successful, to get into an industry, but it's really about learning and putting yourself out there. So it's a book that I do recommend.
Sure thing. What one attribute or characteristic in your mind of a successful founder?
One characteristic, Someone who's going to go out of their way to learn and be open to learning and not be a know-it-all.
Got it. What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
Oh, my calendar. I know that's not super techy, but it's my calendar. I live off of my calendar. My life is so chaotic sometimes. I have so much going on. And one of the things that I got out of breast cancer really was learning how to organize my time. And I became obsessed with my calendar. I Before I go to bed every night, I look at my calendar. I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is in my calendar. If I'm meeting someone for a coffee, even if it's just a friend, it goes in my calendar. If it's not in my calendar, I will forget because I got a million things going on. I don't have time to remember everything. So it's also like a really good memory, a reminder. And so yeah, it's just a basic calendar, color coded. It's my life. And if I ever lost my calendar, I would probably feel really lost.
Got it. No, I do follow calendar very closely too. So yeah, I understand that. What's
Yeah.
a new or a crazy business idea you would love to pursue if you had time?
A new crazy idea. Oh gosh, I have so many. I do have one around health.
Mhm.
But it actually does consist of some AI, and it's more on the consumer side, and it actually does have something to do with diabetes and health, but it's more on the consumer side of things to help them just eat healthier and have a knowledge base to food and ingredients and what's in ingredients and what does it really mean, because like when you look at food and you look at ingredients, those are really long names and nobody really knows what it means. So I would love to build something out that really um, describes and lets consumers know exactly what those things are and what it means and what it also means for your body.
Got it. Got it. And last but not least, what's an interesting fun fact about you that most people don't know?
A fun fact about me that people don't know. I don't know. I don't think I'm that interesting, to be honest. I live my life like pretty standard. I love my workflows and my processes. I love to read. I try to read a book once a month. In 2025, I'm going to try and do a book every 2 weeks if I can. But reading is something that's really important to me because English is my second language, and I don't feel like it's perfect. Although I've been in Canada for many years, I always I always buy a book, but I also buy the audiobook. So when I'm listening to the audiobook, I'm also reading the actual book at the same time, so that I can continue learning how to pronunciate properly and just keep learning English even better.
Yeah, yeah, got it. Got it. No, I love audiobooks too whenever I'm driving or in the train or things like that.
Yeah.
Great stuff, Sonia. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story and packing years of building the business. If people want to check out MenuSano or get in touch with you, what's the best way to do it?
SoniaCouto.com, SoniaCouto.com. Everything about MenuSano, Field Eagle, Converge, the software development company, my podcasts, everything that I do is there. And then it can guide you to the different websites.
Great stuff. Well, thank you so much for being with us. And I really, really enjoyed having you as a guest on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you all for tuning into the episode of Founder Podcast. I hope you found our conversation with Sonia insightful and inspiring. Go to soniacouto.com, check out the podcast, check out the software company and MenuSano, especially. I'm really, really eager to check it out myself. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to our podcast and stay updated on future interviews and proven founders and industry experts' insights. Stay inspired, stay motivated, and keep building.